believe it was written back in the late 70s, early 80s, whatever it is, but it is certainly applicable today. Welcome, everyone. This is Groove Swing Speaks right here on Studio W the Buzz, coming to you each and every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on the East Coast, 4 p.m. on the West, 6 Central, and 5 Mountain times here. So we're waiting for our guests to come on. And right now, I see Tiffany. Tiffany Hilliard. Hey, girl, how are you?
Hello, everyone. Hey, William, how are you?
I'm doing great. I know Robert. He has something that he had to take care of. He's out on assignment, and he says he's going to try to reach us. My brother Clayton. He should be joining us hopefully shortly, and we're waiting for our featured guest tonight. We have Miss Mildred Council and also Tamika Walker, two of your sisters. Now, I'm not sure whether you know both of those or not, both of those ladies or not, brother.
I do. I definitely know Mildred is actually part of Raleigh Grand.
Oh wow, that
Yeah,
is outstanding, outstanding,
yes,
outstanding. I had a chance of speaking to Mildred. As a matter of fact, I've spoken to her on several occasions, and I even spoken to her tonight. And she has a new laptop, and she's just trying to log in. I know yesterday we were on one of her desktop computers, and so we finally got her hooked up. And so I just talked to her, and she's trying to figure it out. I'm sure she will be on. So what's happening? Let's talk about this a little bit. What's happening in the world of swing and groove, and from a swing's perspective, where do you see our organizations going?
that's a good question. It's kind of hard for me to answer that because honestly, I haven't been as active, in swing, compared to when I first started. Um, I'm hoping that we are, long lasting, and I'm believing in, continual growth, not only in numbers, but more so also in character development. And I just, the unity is there between the brothers and sisters, and I feel like it's like any real family. You're gonna have your rifts, saying, amongst each other and amongst your siblings, amongst your brothers and sisters, but at the end of the day, it's still family. So
Right.
I just believe that we're fine, as long as we're striving for progression and not regression. I believe we're doing just fine.
Oh, outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. And here
Right.
is the lady of the hour, Miss Mildred Council. Hey, Mildred,
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fine. Turn up your mic a little bit. Turn up your mic a little bit. All right.
Okay.
We are so happy to have you here. I had the pleasure of speaking to you on a few occasions prior to this broadcast, and
Uh-huh.
I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. So I'm looking for a lively discussion because I want the audience to tell people about the magnificent things that you are doing. You have so many things going on, and I know your involvement in community service and politics and things like that is
Mhm.
extensive. Like I tell a lot of our guests, nobody can tell you a story as well as you. So I want you to tell the world about Mildred Council.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you so much for having me on tonight. Can you see me?
Oh yeah,
I have to.
absolutely. Oh, we can see you.
Okay, you can hear. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, that's good. Okay. Well, that's all
Okay.
right then. Okay, well, my name is Mildred Atkinson Council, and I am a native of Greenville, North Carolina, and I grew up in the county schools here, and it is a very rural area, eastern North Carolina, on the farm. And after graduating from the Bethel Union High School in 1967, I enrolled in Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina. And both of those institutions has really made my life a vital part of what it is today. Also going on from there to the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. So that's a little bit about my educational background
Hmm.
as I, excuse me.
Okay, very good. Now that's your educational background, but there's also an interesting story with your transition after you graduated from Shaw, going to the University of Wisconsin. I understand that you went on a free ride. Is that correct?
It is, and that was because of the wonderful education I had at Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina from 1967 through um, 71 is when I
Uh-huh.
graduated. And it was not easy at Shaw. They challenged us, they had us prepared academically and made sure that we were servant leaders. And I was engaged in a lot of organizations there too because I really wanted to travel because I was a little country girl growing up in the woods in eastern North Carolina. So I was just glad to be a part of things that traveled. So I joined the choir, but could never sing. But I joined, and the director never kicked me out. But I was in that. I was a part of um, the organization called with the Sunday School Bible Study, the Alpha Eta Omega Christian Fellowship, and several other organizations. And we also became ambassadors for the school because we were part of the religious part of campus. So they sent us away up in North Carolina mountains with the white students from UNC Chapel Hill, Meredith College, and um, NC State to talk about race relations. So that was really new to us because we had never really been exposed to white students except on the farm. And so in an intellectual environment, we felt that we was representing our school very well by being a part of the struggles that we as Black people faced in the 60s, 70s, and of course, we're still experiencing some of them today. But
Oh,
anyway,
boy, oh, boy.
that's a little bit about that side of my experience. But we went on to the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee on a free ride, all because of a dynamic director of the sociology department at the time, Dr. Dorothy Williams. And she got 8 of my classmates, 6 in the School of Social Work, 2 in the School of Library Science, and we all got free master's degrees. So
Whoa,
wasn't that awesome?
that
Free.
is so awesome.
Yeah.
That,
Awesome.
that is absolutely outstanding, outstanding. And now, you now tell us a little. Now, when did you pledged swing fire swing while you were at Shaw? Is that right?
We were the first chapter at Shaw University and the one of the second chapters we were told in the whole network of Swing by Swing Social Fellowship. But I was amongst the charter chapter at Shaw University.
That's
And so
outstanding.
that was in 1970, and our first chapter started in 1969 at the Winston-Salem State University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Outstanding, outstanding,
Mhm.
outstanding. And you've been a member ever since. I'm going to let Tiffany, before we get into some more extensively about the dynamic work that you've done over this last several decades, I'm going to let my co-host or panelist rather, Tiffany, jump in. Tiffany, what would you like to say to the sister or ask her any questions?
Hola, sis. How are you?
Hola, how are you? So nice to hear our new sister's voice. It's proud to be
Yeah.
on with you. This is an honor, and we thank Brother Brown for having all of us.
Yes, man. It's been a while. I was telling him, I said, yes, I said, I know Miss Mildred. I said, that's my chapter sister. We part of Raleigh Grass, and Raleigh Grass shows up.
Yes, yes, and that's been a light of my life because I'm in Greenville, North Carolina, and we had some
Mhm.
students at one point at East Carolina University, and I did meet a few early on, but I haven't, so I don't think we have an active chapter there anymore, but we did at one point. Met some
Mhm.
students, but so I travel to Raleigh for the meetings and go on Zoom. Whatever we do, I am actively engaged with the Swings, the Raleigh Wake chapter, and they have been the Raleigh grad chapter, I'm sorry. And they have been most helpful to me in all of the things that I do, and especially with my 4-H club that is 26 years old. They have supported me. They've been down for my service projects. They came down this year to celebrate the Pitt County All Stars Club of Excellence with me. and they won the city's award. A youth group did, and we were just so excited to have the Swing Sisters in Greenville to support Sister Council. It was
Okay.
That's
awesome.
great. Let me ask you, on your line, how many swings were on your line?
Uh, we had, I believe it was 12 of us, maybe something like
Outstanding.
that. I can't remember that exactly, but it's around 12. I have to ask Jewel. We talked about that recently, and that's what we remember because that was a while ago for us and
Right,
everything. But they were Dynamite Sisters. Jewel Dunn, who is the chapter president of the Raleigh Grad today, we were Line Sisters. And
right,
I met her family through the General Baptist State Convention. Her father was a Chalbert, a legislator, and just a dynamic family. And so Jewel is one of my sisters that I would never ever forget being on the same line with her.
Mm.
Yes.
That's
that's
outstanding. That's outstanding. And I want to say something about, as a matter of fact, I want to give a major acknowledgement and love to the Raleigh Grad chapter. As a matter of fact, Raleigh Grad is instrumental in uh, uh, helping me, especially Rock, my sister Rock, in
yeah.
Oh,
putting this program together. Let me give you a little background. Uh, my platform, my station is Studio W, the Buzz Global Radio. We broadcast around the world. Anyone in the world right now can hear our voices and our dialogue, our conversations, you see. And when I started this station, thank God it's been 10 years now. My anniversary, our anniversary is December the 31st. And we flipped the switch, or we started this thing in December 2014, and with God's blessings, we've been able to maintain for 10, almost 10 solid years now. So I'm so
well,
proud of that.
congratulations. Wow.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so about 8 years ago, I started a program called Groove Talk Radio.
Hmm.
Yeah, Groove Talk Radio was just primarily just grooves, Groove Five Groove organization, and we in
Hmm.
Southern California had a bunch of great brothers out there that helped me launch that and maintain that network. And when then I decided that I wanted to move back east. This is my home, Richmond, Virginia,
Hmm.
and I uprooted and uh, brought my entire network over here on the East Coast. Okay, so so we didn't have Groove Talk Radio anymore, and so it was February of this year, that I put a post out, and I had my groove paraphernalia on, and Raleigh Grad shared my post. I said,
Hmm.
"Wow!" I didn't know anyone in Raleigh Grad, but
Oh
they
my.
shared my post, and I said, "You know what? I'm going to thank these sisters, and I'm going to bring them on one of my platforms and have them introduce themselves to the world." So I contacted, I DM Brawley Grad, and Rock called me, and we talked, and we've been friends ever since. And I said, and during our conversation, we changed the whole deal of that. Instead of having them on one of my platforms, why don't we start a groove swing platform? And that's how we came up with Groove Swing Speaks. Well, that's where
Awesome.
we came with Groove Swing Speaks here on Studio W. And so we got together, and we started the middle of February of this year. And now I think this is our, what, 25th or 26th episode, Tiffany? It's something like that.
It's something.
Robert Hicks can do that. And so
Yeah.
I'm so proud of this. When the idea was to bring Mildred, to bring grooves and swings together around the country. Let's connect the dots. We are doing so many wonderful things in our different chapters around the country.
Right.
However, we don't know what one chapter is doing versus the other one. The grooves, we may know some swings, but we really don't know what each one is doing. And we have so much value. I want to put it all together and share this with the world because we have so many great professionals. Uh,
Oh, we
and
do. So
and we
many.
inspire young people and give them faces that look like them that may inspire them to do better things, whether it's medicine, whether it's education, whether it's architecture, anything that is positive. We want to showcase that on this network. Having said that, Mildred, I want to talk a little bit more about the long work. I mean, the many, many, many years of work that you put into public service. I want you to start there and tell us about you being so active and being an activist. And let's talk about the importance of us being able to get involved in our communities on a local level and a national level, and especially when it comes to the vote.
Okay, well, I got started when I finished graduate school at the University of Wisconsin Milwaukee. That was in 1976. I decided I wanted to come back to my community and give back because so much had been given to me. And so I decided to relocate from Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin Milwaukee is where I got my master's. And I came home and I started my first job at Caswell Center, which is a mental retardation institution in Kinston, North Carolina. I worked there 1 year and 3 months. And then
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to start with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. And I was there for 31 years in 3 different jobs. And my jobs were um, working as a social worker too at Caswell, then sickle cell
Mm-hmm.
genetic educator counselor. And then I went into doing infant mortality for about 5 years. And then after I finished the job, they asked me would I come back to continue sickle cell. And I really didn't want to do that, but I thought about it, having a family by that point. I was married with a husband and 2 awesome sons. And so I decided that I need to stay in Greenville, that's home, and I wanted to continue to contribute. So in 1987, I ran for city council. Well, when I got back in town, I'm one of those that have high respects for the elders of our community. And the
Mm-hmm.
elders got me involved in the civil rights kinds of things, registering people to vote, talking about voter education, those kinds of things. So I worked with some of the pioneers of our community at that time, known as the D.D. Garretts and the Willie Mae Carneys. And all these have connections to the Greenville community and to my high school, because a lot of my high school classmates, we were all connected in that way. So I decided to run for office. Uh, Not on my own. They trained me for like maybe 2 years, and they said, we are sick and tired of looking at our boards and commissions in our city, and we don't see nobody looking like us. And
Mm-hmm.
so they filed a lawsuit, with 3 lawsuits in our community at the time. They sued the school board, the city council, and the county commissioners. And so they had trained some of us. So they told me, you're going to the city council. I said, the city council? I can't do that. They say, you are going to city council because you're ready, you're prepared, we've trained you, and we know you know what to do, and you have a loud mouth, and we want people to speak up and tell it like it is. And so they sent me to the city council, and I served on the Greenville City Council for 22 long years. And also, I was mayor pro tem 3 of those years. I mean, 3 terms. They were 2 year terms. So I was elected 11 times. And on the 12th time, I lost my election to another woman running for my seat. So she got it. But right after that happened, the school board called me one day, said, you got all this experience and you've done great work here in this community. Could you come on and join us on the school board? We want to appoint you to do school board work. And I'm like, no, I've already served families. Greenville City Council was all about families. We got our fire rescue, our parks and rec, our all these different 17 different boards, and all of those connected to families in Greenville, North Carolina. But they said, no, we want you to focus on children because you have children and we know you're a great parent. And so come on and help us out here. So I got appointed to the Board of Education, and I served there 6 years and 9 months. And
Mm-hmm.
then I retired there as the board's chair. And so that was in 2012, 6 years and 9 months. I almost have 30 years of elected experience on those two boards. And after I did that, I decided to run for State House. I didn't win that, but I ran. And it was exciting just running. And I did it two different times. I did one time while I was on the council, which whether I won or lost was okay because I could fight on a elected board. So those are sort of my experiences being an elected leaders. And being an elected leader, I served not only on the council here, but I was the state president for the North Carolina Black Municipal Elected Officials for
Hmm.
2 terms, which was 4 years. I also served as the women's uh, organization in that same network that was called the North Carolina um, Legal Cities Group. And then I worked at the national level on that board. And so I just had a great time serving. So those are my political positions I held. And also being a social worker, I helped organize North Carolina, uh, Eastern North Carolina Regional Association of Black Social Workers and the State Association of Black Social Workers. And just last week, one of our national officers, Leonard Dunston, who was the seventh president of the National Association of Black Social Workers, had his homegoing service. So it was like reliving the work that I had done, working with him and helping build North Carolina Black social workers up. And they just returned from Ghana last 2 Fridays ago, and that was their 35th international conference, and I was able to go on 3 of those conferences while I was very active. But when I got into city council's work, then I was traveling with them in the state of North Carolina, all across country to all these major cities to represent my city and to lobby for services to come back to Greenville. So I did a little all of that, having a husband, 2 children, and still I kept it all together somehow by the grace of God. I prayed, and when you pray hard and you work hard, it happens. And so I'm a witness, and that's my little testimony that God worked it out. And I was just so blessed to have served those organizations during that time.
That
Awesome.
is, go on, Tiffany. I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was just saying how awesome that is. Like she has done the work.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. I can't think of anyone that I've met that have put so much into public service and servicing other people. Uh, boy, I'm sure you've been honored before, but boy, I, and,
God has been
and
blessing me
rightfully
so much.
so. Rightfully so. Hey, welcome to the set. Our brother Robert Hicks. Robert Hicks, meet our sister Mildred Council.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Thank
Oh,
you.
how are you? It's nice to be with you all tonight.
Right. Robert, I don't know how much you know about Sister Council, but uh, over 30 years, well over 30 years of public service. I mean, social work, city council, board of education, on and on and on. I mean, there's so much about this sister that we really want to talk about. And we talk about voting, voting rights. And I'm sure you've been on the forefront there, Sister Council, and probably leading the charge. And
Well,
knowing you.
I have worked it ever since I told you when I came home in 1974, well, 76 to live and work here. Those old school civil rights activists got me involved, and I listened to them. I learned, and that's what I feel that this is Mildred's feeling that everyone that's going to run for office needs some training from old school sisters and brothers. And
Hmm.
I took advantage of that. And I learned from these individuals. And I'm just so proud of Willie Mae Carney, one of my Bethel Union connections. That's my high school. D.D. Garrett, which was in Greenville. He was the president of NAACP. And all these leaders, I could just list them all, but I can't call them all tonight. But all those men and women were instrumental in my life. And also my pastor at this encouraging me to do well, and adopted me as his one of his daughters. He had about 12 kids himself, but I was one of the community youth. So I had prayers going from my church, community, family, all of those people encouraged me. And so that's why today I have to continue this work, because too much was given to me for me to not work as long as I have breath. And so I'm committed to it. And speaking of voting, I've been working on voting ever since ever since I have been voting, since 18 years of age. And even today, I passed out information on telling people to please get registered. I have that crazy 2025 agenda that the conservatives have put out, trying to take us back into before 1619
Come
in
on now.
slavery. And I'm not going back without a fight. I don't know about you all, but I will not go back without a fight, because we have worked too hard to build this country, and now we're going to allow someone to come in and put us in uh, a Russian kind of government, take our democracy away? Absolutely not. So I've passed at least about 30 copies of that 2025 agenda that Trump has out today, so we can educate our people. Do you all want to have someone running the country that have this kind of mentality? Absolutely not. And so that's what I do in the church, in the grocery store, wherever I am. I got my papers in my pocket, and I'm disorganized, but I'm trying to educate us. And I don't understand how anybody that look like me don't understand that they need to get out and vote. So I've been doing that already. I'm working with the headquarters here. This past week, we had the women to get together to talk about our reproductive rights. And so they met at the headquarters. I was in a rally this week, and I was in church Sunday passing out information, meetings last week. So I make it a part of my life, because it's just that critical that we as African American people have to know how hard we have been mistreated in this country. But this administration on the opposite side wants to take us back prior to arriving in America and being enslaved here. And I just refuse not to do my part of the work. And I'm telling everybody, make sure you get the vote out. Give 25 of these sheets out that
Mm-hmm.
talks about that. Project 2025 is what I'm talking about. For those that may not have heard of it, but it is a over 1,000-page document, I understand. And we have it broken down in one sheet to share with the people. This is what's going to happen to you if this conservative group gets back into office. And we cannot allow that to happen. So I'm prepared. I'm working as hard as I can. And I'm encouraging everybody that's under my sound of my voice to please help us, help yourself, help your families, help your future children, help those unborn. That's what we got to do.
Absolutely. Sister Mildred, let me just share this right here. I'm going to make this declaration right now. If anytime you want to share the message, you have a platform, my sister, right here. And you can come on anytime. And matter of fact, we're going to have you back also, because next in September, we have a couple of shows that's going on. I forgot. Rock needs to get back with me and let me know who do we have the first week in September. I think that is September the 3rd. I think that first Tuesday is September the 3rd. September the 10th, we have a show, and that we're going to talk about veterans rights. We did one before, and I absolutely loved it. We had several veterans on, and we were talking about
Mhm,
veterans rights and them being able to maximize their benefits, veterans
mhm,
services, and things of that nature. So we're going to have. It's not going to be a repeat, but it's going to be an enhanced version of what we spoke about. And so that is going to be September 24th. That is a political show there. Rock just told me there. Uh,
mhm.
and Sister Mildred, you're welcome to come back there. We're going to have a full panel there. But
Awesome,
your input
awesome. And my
is
husband is a veteran, and so is my brother-in-law, and several members of my family have served in these United States sources.
yes. Thank you so
Several
much.
of them have
So
served.
that's going to be September 10th. The following
Mhm,
week on the 17th, I thought we had something else going on. We're going to talk about politics as well. We're going to get out the vote. We're going to drive out
To get
the
out the
vote
vote.
here. And I agree, sister. You got a brother in me that's going to. I'll walk hand in hand with you, and we can use this platform, this microphone right here, which can reach around the world. Anytime you want to get your message out, you let me know, and then I'll provide a platform for you. That may not necessarily be Groove Swing Speaks, and it can be, and it will be also. But I have
Mhm.
other platforms that we can utilize because Robert, I have been saying over and over and over again, this election right now, in my opinion, is the most important election of our lifetime. And
Yes, it
people
is.
do not sleep on Project 2025 that Sister Mildred is talking about. It is something that will drive us back 40, 50, 60 years. And not only that, it's a blueprint for a dictatorship.
Thank
It's
you.
a
That's
blueprint.
exactly what it is. Exactly what it is.
That's exactly. Brother Robert, I'm going to go off screen right now. I need to go outside and do a sound check. So I want you and Tiffany to carry on the conversation and along with our dear sister, Mildred Council. Robert, take over, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you. And it is definitely important that every single election, every single time that there has been an election, if you've been eligible to vote, was an important vote, was an important election. It just so happens that now we're in the sense of it's almost been kind of like an avalanche effect.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything has been rolling downwards, and now everybody wants to get out and vote. Well, that should have been, not in my opinion, should have been the mentality, and a few of us would probably say the same thing. That should have been the mentality in the beginning, because each and every time you go to the polls, you're putting not just your vote for your interests, but you're putting the votes of your children, your
Mm-hmm.
grandchildren, your great
That's right.
grandchildren, generations of people that you wouldn't even probably might not see in your lifetime. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact of your vote, whatever side that you decide on, makes a difference. Even the sense of not voting is specifically a vote. I would suggest that everybody get the opportunity to read read the documents, because the documents are read your platforms. The platforms are available online for
Mm-hmm.
free,
Yes.
especially um, the platforms for Kamala Harris, the platforms for 45, the
Mm-hmm.
platforms for any other candidate. But not just
Right.
thinking about the federal level, the presidential race. That's a macrocosm of what
Mm-hmm.
is going at the local levels. Your local, because where do pretty much a lot of the officials who are at the top now, majority of them started out in the local
Mm-hmm.
elections, whether
Local is
they were
very
city
important. Yes.
councils, whether we're serving on state courts, whether we're serving register of wills, they were serving in sheriff's positions,
Mm-hmm.
whether serving on boards of education. Eventually, they rose up to the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea is whatever policies that they had back then at the local levels, or whatever policies
Mm-hmm.
eventually at that level are going to rise up one way or the other. My suggestion is making sure that not only in the sense that you read the platforms, but you get yourself registered. And I
Mm-hmm.
know for a few family members that I know that you might know in your family, this is their first time voting,
Mm-hmm.
the first time eligible for voting. So they should be more energized than ever, especially
Yes.
what everything is going on right now. And I say also, Sister Mildred, that definitely you have definitely done a lot of work with regards to social work and boards of educations, and also getting people out in the vote. Let's just like to understand a little bit about your what you did with the Board of Education, because that's actually one of the areas that actually is close to my heart as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was a member of the Board of Education for 6 years and 9 months, and in the last year, I was voted by my peers to be the chair of the board, and so that was uh, public policy for the. Uh, of course, all the boards I've served have been the public policies making of that particular governing body. Well, for the Board of Education, we set the policy. Our superintendent carries that policy out amongst the his all of his schools. The principals is who he relates to, and those principals have to follow the lead and make sure each of their schools provide the kinds of services for the children that we have passed as a board, as the governing board. And the city council works very similar. The 7 city council members made the policy. The city manager and the city attorney and the city clerk were our 3 employees that we could fire and hire at any time. And they were to make sure the members of the city of Greenville carry out the policies that we passed. So that's how it was governed. And so on the city council, it was a 7-member board. So it always took 4 to pass anything you wanted to pass. And so we worked together, and I was the first African-American female to serve on the Greenville City Council. And and of course, I became mayor pro tem 3 of those 2-year terms. So that was really great work. And then to travel, and I was one of those members that spoke up, because a lot of the other groups on the board, sometimes they didn't think we need to go anywhere. They thought they knew everything. And I stood up and said that I don't care how rich you are, you do not know everything. I said, you stay home and be ignorant. I said, but I'm going to be going, and the city's going to pay for it, because I'm going to go and get all the information I can, because it's good for us to be amongst our peers as other elected leaders around the United States. And I went to everything. I didn't miss not one meeting for the whole 22 years I served. And the city had to pay for it, because I'm representing this city, representing my constituents. So I brought information back. And we have a lot of great work that the group that served with me did with the city of Greenville. Sometimes you will go lobby, say in Washington, D.C., to your Congress people to bring things back to your community. Well, some of the things were long-term lobbying kinds of issues. For instance, the G.K. Butterfield, he was a Black congressman from my area. Well, we started lobbying him when he was in Congress to get like a transportation center, where it took about 8 years for that to happen. But each year when we go, and then at that time, the elected leaders work together, even though they may be 2 different parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, but we didn't care about that. We worked together. Our goal was to bring something home for our community. So as a result of that one job, we were able to have our transportation center, because they got money and provided for our city to build one, to have a G.K. Butterfield named in the honor of a Black congressman that served our community for years. And he was great. And he retired 2 terms, but 2 years ago. And but he helped us do many great things. And also, speaking of an award, when I retired from my job, I'm also listed in the congressional records in Washington, D.C. because of G.K. Butterfield, because he knew how hard I worked. So that was one of my highest honors. And then another of my highest honors for the state of North Carolina was the Order of the Longleaf Pine. I got that when I retired from state work. And I did that work 32 years. So wherever I was, I worked hard, and I know I made a difference, but I never thought today it would be as bad as it is. It's like we have taken a flip going backwards, and if we don't watch it, we will be back in slavery, you all. I'm telling you, because that's what the mentality of these people are, just like they burnt down towns. Wilmington, North Carolina was just like Oklahoma. Same kind of a thing, because here we are trying to progress and do better, coming out of slavery and all of that, and then people don't like you because you are trying to empower yourselves, empower your families, empower your communities. So, and this is what will happen with this project 2025 if we don't be careful, because if they cut our Social Securities, our Medicare, our prescriptions, and all these awful things on this sheet of paper, we will be set way back. And most of us are just a paycheck away from being in poverty, even though you may have been a professional, because things are going up, but our retirements are not changing that much. So we
Yeah.
have to work hard.
Yes, absolutely. And also, it's a real dangerous precedent, I would say, for any policy that hurts people.
Yes,
That's just across the board,
it is.
especially when people not only put in plans to hurt people, but also to try to speed up the process,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also for the sense of saying that, oh yes, we want everybody to be equal, yet in the same time, these are the same, yes, same groups of people who will denigrate, burn, destroy, and yet say at the same time, oh, no, you need to build yourself up. Well, how can we do that if you are putting us down? That's
Exactly.
that's the, that's the one issue that people should be cognizant about. So,
Exactly.
I definitely say, I say that to just say, just be aware. What
Mm-hmm.
when people say, when people use the term woke basically just means aware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not
Exactly.
understanding what's going on, not having blinders on.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people will say something, and it pretty much will take it as gospel. But however, it's not always going to be. It's not gospel. It's based upon certain people's biases. So the idea is you want to be informed. You want to go to the polls, having information, having facts, not just hearsay. Hearsay is just what it is. You heard it said, but then it's not really all the truth. Or some people will say, well, so much information packed in this all different amounts of opinions. So, yeah, I encourage, and we all encourage
Mm-hmm.
everybody out there, make
Mm-hmm.
sure that you get educated, read up on things.
That's
Everything, the same things that you see online that you are interested in so much gossip. There's also information
mm-hmm.
that's out there for you,
Mm-hmm. That's
and
right.
also the idea of being educated. Educare means to lead out of something, leading out of the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did learn something from Latin. But basically, the point is to be able to make sure that you are understanding of what it is that is the truth, seeking the
Mm-hmm.
truth.
Oh yes.
That's what
Definitely.
Absolutely.
you need, especially with this election coming up.
Right, right. And the climate has changed so much. And a couple of things. Oh, welcome to the panel. Now she's coming on in the next 15 minutes or so. But swing sister Tamika Walker Kelly. Hi, you got two sisters on here. You have Mildred Council and Tiffany Hilliard. She just dropped out for a second.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be back. I'm sure she'll be back. But
Well,
anyway, sister
yeah.
Council, with these few minutes left to go here, I would like for you to address. We've already talked about the importance of this election. We've
Mm-hmm.
kind of covered a little bit about not only the national but the local elections, especially when you come to your school boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and I've studied and learned that that's one of the most important positions in
Mm-hmm.
any community. That school board. If that
Of
school board
course.
is off and it's not pro student, and if it's not
Mm-hmm.
for education, and
Mm-hmm.
because I find there are so many people on the school board have no idea about budgeting, about hiring, about
Mm-hmm.
the curriculum and things of that nature. They are elected officials that were put in there by big money donors or whatever it was. But now
Exactly.
let's get to the national election. There are people right now because I'm so extremely excited about our Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
so excited. What would you say to those naysayers out there that's trying to smear her, saying that she's a DEI candidate, she's not qualified, and all of this just dirty politics that they're trying to play? What would you say to the audience that's, well, I don't know, I've heard this, I don't know about that, and some of these people are black, and
Yes.
what would you say to them?
And
Uh,
that hurts And I don't understand how black people can have such, negative things for other black people, period, because I wasn't trained that way. I am a social worker by profession, and I was trained with the National Association of Black Social Workers. I joined as right after I started to working in 1976, right out of graduate school, and I've been with that organization ever since because we teach African-centered social work. We didn't we respect the NASW and all of that, but for us that are committed to the organization, NABSW has been the route that has helped us get to where we were. And to give you a little history about National Black Social Workers, they were in 1968. They was in a meeting with the white social workers, a minority of them. And in that meeting, they didn't hear the majority of white social workers talking about issues that impacted black folk. They got up, walked out of the meeting, walked across the street to Glide Memorial in San Francisco, California, and formed NABSW, National Association of Black Social Workers, because they refused to listen to, as they said, the BS back in the day. And so they
Uh-huh.
did their own group, and I was one, and another good friend of mine that we was working together at Caswell Center, and we got mad one day because we looked around. Every meeting we go to was always people that didn't look like us. So we was like, well, where are the black social workers? We got a master's degree in social work. Where are they? So we ran into the former Congressman G.K. Butterfield's wife at that time. And so she mentored us. And I told her, we need a speaker. We get ready to have our first anniversary. We don't have no money. So we believe that you need to donate your time when things have happened for you. So black social workers don't pay nobody to come and speak at their conferences. You go and give your services to them because God has blessed us to get to this point. So I got my first speaker, who was G.K. Butterfield. He was a judge at the time, a lawyer at the time. He became a judge and he became a congressman. And so he came and spoke for us free at our anniversary, and we was covering like 3 counties in eastern North Carolina. And so as a result of all of that, we've been friends ever since, and I've helped him on his election, helped his wife run her elections. So whoever's doing the work, and speaking of the local level, that is where the most powerful policy is made. So when I'm telling people, when you get that ballot, if you are, and I know this is not a partisan show, but I'm partisan tonight. I'm going to vote the Democratic ticket. I'm just telling you straight up why I'm going to vote, because I may not like everybody on the ticket, but I certainly don't like those on the other side that wants to take our democracy away, to take us back in slavery, and then use religion as a piece to capture you, just like they were back in slavery days. They were preaching to us at 11 and hanging us at 7, and all during that time. So you can't trust them, and don't let religion get into it and have it impact you a negative way,
Mm-hmm.
because they use that, especially on black people. And they were saying, listen to your master. They weren't talking about Master Jesus. They was talking about master, slave master. That's who they was talking about. So we need to so that's why we must learn our black history. So when you go to the polls to vote, if you are a Democrat, vote the entire ticket. Most of the national election are going to have 2 sides to the ticket. The majority of the states will vote for
Mm-hmm.
everybody that Democrat. So because you need power at the local level, at the state level, and at the national level, all levels, you need someone that cares about the people. And nobody is perfect. None of them are perfect, but that's the better ticket to look after us as senior citizens, our young people, our kids to be, and those that are not even born. Okay.
Absolutely. Sister Mildred, uh, I I'm going to disagree a little bit because to me this is a partisan thing. Because as the CEO of this network, I am definitely partisan on this issue. I am definitely
Oh,
partisan. Oh, absolutely. There's no question about it because
yes, but I am
we
too.
got three choices. We got three choices.
Okay.
We've got the well educated,
Mm-hmm.
well qualified
Mm-hmm.
prosecutor, not a prosecutor, district attorney, attorney general,
Sure.
vice president,
Sure.
experienced
Sure.
versus a convicted convict. I mean, a
That's right.
convicted felon.
Felon.
That's
A
right.
felon.
And if you look at the history of him and the Republican Party, they have done nothing to
Mm-hmm.
advance uh, uh, women's rights, children's
Uh-uh.
rights, human
That's right.
rights.
That's
Okay,
right.
you talk about infrastructure. You talking about
Mm-hmm.
jobs. You talk about they have done nothing, and they're running on a platform of fear, degradation, and it's just dirty, dirty politics. Well, on the other side, we're talking about issues. We're talking about things that
Mm-hmm.
affect the people. We're talking about
The
our
people.
children. To me, it couldn't be. The choice is clear to me, and I
Mm-hmm.
can't understand anybody who's paying attention. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what is there to think about? Unless you're for an evil regime returning to the White House, be
Mm-hmm.
my guest. Be my guest. So, sister, I'm partisan along with you, along with this, and I don't
I
care
am
if somebody wants to
mm-hmm.
clap back. I don't care. They can say whatever they want to do about this, but I am all in for Harris 2025. And if anybody, I'm going to
To
be redundant right now, and if anybody's not paying attention to the Republican 2025 agenda, you
that's
really
right.
need to pay attention. Take your head out
Mm-hmm.
of the sand and do the right thing. Otherwise, you're just as evil as they are. And I'm saying that I don't care if I get clapped back. Anybody can say whatever they want to do, but I'm on your side tonight, sister. Let's do it. Let's get this sister elected
That's
because this is the best thing for the country. If you go the other side, you want to throw your country away. I mean, you
that's
said,
exactly
okay,
right.
I want a Vladimir Putin regime. I want a Kim Jong
Mm-hmm.
Un regime. I want a Xi
That's
regime over in China. I want a
mm-hmm.
dictatorship. No, I'm not going for it. I'm not going to do it. And Tamika, I know that you're coming up in 6 minutes, but do you have any? You can jump in on this conversation if you like.
Sure. So first, good evening and hello to everyone, and thank you for having me on. And I would just say, on the topic of voting, even if people aren't excited about the top of the ticket, there are always things on the ballot to vote for because your local and your statewide races have
Mm-hmm.
direct impact on your daily life. And so
That's right.
everybody should be out voting in this election because it will be the difference maker for your life and for so many other people's.
Absolutely,
One
absolutely,
vote,
absolutely.
every vote does count too, because I have a first cousin that is the mayor of a little town next to Greenville. It is Winterville, North Carolina. He won the mayorship by one vote.
Oh, wow.
Wow, wow,
Wow.
wow,
I'm sorry,
wow.
not the
So you,
mayorship.
Yeah.
When he was a commissioner, the first time he was elected by one vote, that it was like about three or four discrepancies, and they had to have a whole recount, and he won by one vote. You all, one vote.
mhm, mhm. You know what I love
So,
about you? There's so many things I love about you, Sister Mildred. There's so many things I love about you. And one thing about it, folks, if you really think about it, Sister Mildred was back there. I mean, in the midst of the civil rights movement,
that's right.
in the midst
Marching.
of it, marching, and,
Yes,
and,
she
and
was.
working hard so that we could get to where we are right now. And we really
That's right.
need to pay attention, folks. I mean, you come to think about it. You got, like I said, you got three choices. You
Hmm.
can go for the convict, you can go for the prosecutor, or don't vote at all. And I think it would be a doggone shame if we didn't vote because people like Mildred have fought for us to have the right to vote. And so you have no excuses, no excuses at all. Tiff, you want to jump in there real quick?
I do. I do. My whole take, because I want to ask you guys this is, I had this conversation earlier with Rock. Um, how come no one ever talks about the independent party? Like, I understand that, the whole thing is, you know, the whole fight has always been about the Democrats and the Republicans, but no one ever gives shine to the candidates of the independent party. Now, I will tell you this, before Kamala got into the picture, and it was just Joe and Trump that was going at it, I decided to go independent. Honestly, because I didn't want either one of them in office. I just have my personal opinion that I do believe that no matter if you're at the local level, state level, or even presidential level, I do believe that there should be a how can I say, like, a set term that you should work, like 25 years. I think that should be capped. I think there should be a set age that should be capped. And also, but more so, my main question is, how come no one ever talks about the independent candidates? Because if it's supposed to be freedom to vote for whoever, no one ever
Mhm.
gives shine to that party, and I wonder why is that.
Well, I'm going to let Sister Mildred jump in there, but let me say something right now. Right now is not the time to split the vote. Right now, the independent party, right now, it's okay to be independent, but a lot of independents are going with the Democrat. You have some independents that's going Republican. You have some independents going Democrat. Now, you have two other people. We have Cornell on there, and we also have RFK Jr. If you vote for those two right now, you are throwing away the vote and you're taking votes away from Kamala Harris. Yeah, it's okay to be independent, but why? Right what's the state right now? Our children's futures at stake right now, and now is not the time to split the vote. We don't need to take votes away from this sister, okay? Because anybody else right now that's running, they're not going to win. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You can see it in the numbers. You can see it in the polling. It is irrelevant right now. Independent, fine. You can be an independent, but vote sensibly. And the sensible thing right now, if you can vote for Trump, or you can, which I can't fathom anyone, especially black, voting for him. I can't understand that. So yes, I appreciate what you're saying, Sister Tiffany. But yeah, we can do the how come thing later. But right now, we don't have time for that because November is vastly and
Approaching.
fastly coming. And we do not need to take the vote away from this sister that deserves to win. Sister Council, I want you to address that, please.
Yeah, I agree exactly with what you say, but also we do reach out to the independents because I
Yeah.
am a former chair of the Democratic Women here in Pitt County, and my position just ended in February of this year. So we invited all independent women to join us. And the only thing that now I don't agree with them, I don't believe in joining any organization that you don't have a vote in. So the way the law is set up for them, for the independent women, is that you can come and join, but you can't vote in the meetings. Now, I don't agree with that. If you're going to be a part of the meeting, then I think you need to have full rights to vote. But at the same time, we talk to them and say, now we know how you're feeling, and it's okay to have that third or fourth choice, whatever your choices are. But in a time like we're in right now, just like Mr. Brown, his brother Brown has said that we, that's risk taking, and we don't need no risk taking right now. We need every vote that we can get for Kamala Harris for president and all the other Democrats that are running because when you, for instance, right now in Raleigh, North Carolina, is the North Carolina General Assembly. We had one white female that went in the General Assembly as a Democrat. She decided somewhere in midstream, we think she was paid off, to change to become a Republican. Well, that diluted our governor of North Carolina's
Come on.
strength. What's the word for it? When you can, the General Assembly votes and then you can sign the bill into law. Well,
Right.
losing that one individual caused us to not to have the power. Our governor had was powerless almost. So
Right.
one does
Right.
matter in everything. So it's okay to be that, but right now, come on to the better side of things that's going to really bless your nation. Keep your democracy intact because they're trying to destroy the democracy, and we know that hasn't been perfect either, but it certainly is more perfect than what's going to be because you're going to be in a Putin's type governing situation, which one man has power and control you, and you have no rights to do anything, and you're less than a human being to go that way. So that's why I think that people have choices, but hopefully we can get more to come to our side. And we've been working on it. We've been writing. We have letter writing campaigns. We on the phone calling people. We in the streets talking to them. I'm in church raising my hand that I got an announcement to make. Did you all see the Project 2022? And all the old folks, I'll give you a hard copy because many of them don't even have a cell phone. And I said, but those that the young people, you take the picture and you send it out to 25 people. Imagine 25, 25, 25, how impactful that would be if everybody would share this with 25, educate 25 at least. And so
That's right.
that's what we've been doing. And so I'll hush at this moment. But I've
Oh, thank you
enjoyed
so
this.
much. Wow. Sister Mildred, we could go on and on and on. You are delightful. Now we're
Carry
going to bring on your sister. We're going to bring on your sister right now. Okay, Tamika Walker, and it's so glad to have you, sister. Sister Mildred, you can hang around as long as you can. If you have to log off, we do understand. We don't
Well, I
want
want to
to.
hear the sister since I'm on. I want to respect her and hear her because she's heard me. And I just say my last word is don't forget to vote. And I also picked up me 100 voting applications on last Friday, so I'm giving them out too. Had to sign for them, but I carried my voter registrations in my car. Okay.
I love you, sister. I love you absolutely. Hang along, hang on as long as you can,
I
and
will.
stay on the panel here,
Yeah,
Sister
and thank you,
Tamika.
brother, too, for coming in. I enjoyed talking to the brothers, and I love young people. I just really adore them for want to be in this fight because that's how I started as a young person, and today I am getting ready to celebrate my 75th birthday and celebrating my 48th anniversary
Congratulations.
tomorrow. Yes, and I have two awesome sons, and they are making a difference in our big world too.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Sister Tamika.
Hello,
How
hello.
Oh, wow, wow. This is so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. I just love I just love my sister Mildred. I just love her.
I love her.
Uh yeah, because look at what she's done. I mean the tireless work that she's put
Mhm.
in over 30 plus odd years fighting for us. Fighting for us. And folks, I think we need to return the favor. We need to return the favor and fight with her. Okay, and
Yes.
I'm getting this fight, and I'm in it. I'm all in. And Sister Mildred, you can count on me anytime. Anytime you want to come on and you need a world
I
voice.
need Thank you
I,
so much. I need it because we had a black radio station here, and that's how he was. We always challenged all the black community to come in and share whatever they had to share. And the station, we lost it. So, and
well, you
now here
got
I
this
have
one.
a global station to market
You
my concerns.
you have this one, and you know I'm a phone call away. You know I'm a
Yes.
phone
Thank
call
you
away.
so much for having me.
Thank you, Sister Tamika.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much, and thank you for joining us. And I had the pleasure of speaking to you earlier, and I know that your experience, you're dealing with our young ones, the future of our world, and you are an educator.
Yes.
I'm not going to tell your story because no one can tell your story as well as you can. Tell us about you. Tell us about Tamika, what you do, and your passion and what you do for our children.
Yes, so greetings again and good evening. My name is Tamika Walker Kelly. I am an elementary music teacher from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I currently serve as president of the North Carolina Association of Educators, NCAE, which is the state's largest public school worker union here in North Carolina. And I've been teaching. Well, I taught for 14 years. I'm in education. This will be entering my 17th year as a public school educator. And I am a member of the Harambe graduate chapter in Fayetteville. And I went undergrad across swing in fall of 2004 on the campus of East Carolina University. We chartered our chapter
Oh, in
there.
Greenville.
That's right. So, I do.
I
I
came
sound
up to
very
see
familiar.
you.
That's right. Proud pirate here. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. This is my 5th year as NCAE president. I started my term in 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. And yeah, I've been serving ever since, trying to ensure that our public school workers and our public school students here in North Carolina get the public schools that they deserve. And so that is the work that I do.
Awesome.
Outstanding.
Congratulations.
Outstanding.
Wow, that's powerful. Don't tell me the swing sisters don't have it going on. I
Right.
love it.
I definitely say that you have been 14 years in education, 17 years
Yes.
in schools. That takes dedication. That takes a lot of
Yes.
dedication, and you're using your gifts, your talents, your skills and abilities to reach out to the next generation and make sure that they are properly educated. And that's with definitely we love you for that, definitely. Um, what made you decide to go into education as your chosen career field, or your love, your passion for education?
Yeah, sure. I when I was growing up as a small child, I either wanted to be a famous singer or I wanted to be a teacher. That was like what I wanted to do. And I didn't really decide on becoming a music teacher until I got to high school. And my high school choral teacher, her name is Sharon McNair, she inspired me. I wanted to be just like her. And so I decided right then I wanted to be a music teacher. I auditioned for different schools, and I signed up for the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Program. I got a scholarship to go to East Carolina, and that is where I
Awesome.
wanted to do music. And so that's how I became interested in music. And then when I was in college, I couldn't decide if I wanted to do elementary or high school. And then I just fell in love with elementary students during my internship. And so that's how I got into music education. I just believe that every student should have a space where they get to be their creative best selves, and that my music classroom allows them to be fully human and present and enjoy through music and through the arts. And so that's how I became an educator.
Awesome.
Amazing, amazing. Um,
Awesome.
I would say that
Yes, I
is
love it.
that. Absolutely, absolutely. I would say, Tiffany. Um,
Yes. Hola, sis. How are you?
Hola, I'm great. I'm a little under the weather, so if you see me drinking a lot of water, it's because I'm trying to keep my throat clear and healthy.
I understand. I understand. You said that you fell in love with the elementary students. What was it about um them that you just fell in love with? What was it?
So the babies, as I call them, I taught music K through 5, 5th grade. And the babies, it's your foundational years where you learn about how to be in the world. You're learning about each other, how to be good people to one another. And so that's like the best age to sort of start learning those lessons. And if kids are, learning about themselves and learning about the world, the music classroom is also a place where they do that. They get introduced to many different types of music, lots of instruments. They learn whether they like to dance, whether they like to sing. And so that's why I picked elementary school. I did not pick middle school or high school. I love middle school students. I did an internship in middle school. But by the time they get to middle school and high school, they are taller than me. And so I just that just did not work for me. So I just decided elementary school was actually where my heart was. And so and that's been my favorite age group ever since.
Yes,
Awesome.
that's awesome. Yeah, especially some of the middle school students where they go through that growth spurt, and then you look at them a couple of years ago. It's like, how did you get 6 inches taller over the summer? That does, yeah, but I can definitely understand. Sister
Mhm.
Mildred, some it's a connection from an educator to educator. I'm sure
Oh,
this is going
yes.
to be definitely.
It's very helpful. And guess what? I subbed some today. I like to go into the schools to check on the children
Mhm.
and to just, encourage them because they need a lot of encouragement. And so I am a sub. I just need to be there. But now I'm a little different than you. I don't do babies. I can't handle the babies because they're saying, Miss Counsel, he hit me. And I can't take that. I'm above all of that. And so and my mother, Brother Williams, Brother Brown, was really trying to make sure I, had a productive life. And she talked real bad about little babies when I was little in church. I would be trying to hold the little pretty babies around me. And my mother said, I told you, don't you touch those babies. That's for grown folks to do. And so as I grew up, I never cared that much about little babies. And because mama was really trying to make sure I didn't get pregnant and stay straight and graduate high school and college. And she showed up at Shaw University and educated all my college girlfriends. And I still have those girlfriends today. And we've been out of Shaw for 54 years. And so she taught us how to take care of ourselves. That's the kind of mother my mother was. And so I only do high school students 95% of the time. And every now and then a teacher would call me because everybody got to know me when I was on the board. Miss Counsel, please come and help us out. Just one day, I'm like, nah, I don't do babies because last time I did the babies was a second grade group this school year. The principal called me and said, Miss Counsel, just come. Said and you'll be out of school by 2:30. And guess what? I had to take them to the bathroom, had to take them to the playground. And when I had to take them to the playground, I looked and another teacher brought her children to the playground. Then all of a sudden, I didn't know anybody in the first place because I'm my first time ever subbing at this school. And I'm like, what do I do for the children? And then I knew what my numbers were, but everybody mixed in. So I got really, panicky. And I said, I won't be coming back here. I can't take it. I like to work with the grown children. I like the 9 through 12, but they think they're as grown as I am. I can handle them. So that's my preference. So enjoy those little babies. So I just can't do
Absolutely.
those. So there's work for each of us.
Yeah. Also, with 9th to 12th graders, they're kind of in the point of they're trying to find where they are and where they're supposed to
That's
be
right.
going through in life. And there comes a time where they're going to need that guidance, why they have guidance counselors, why they have teachers,
Mhm.
proper teachers. They have
Right.
proper people in the community to properly guide them, or maybe even just try to bring something out of them to say that,
Mhm.
okay, you want to go become this profession, here are the people to
Mhm.
contact, or this is what you're going
Yeah.
to need. They just need that
Yeah.
proper movement and
Guidance.
guidance to get them to the
Mhm.
right
Mhm.
location. Um,
Right.
Very true.
I want to say also, Sister Tamika, with your interactions, tell me how much did you have interactions with the Board of Education where you go, where you are? I say
Um,
for what have you seen recently in some of the changes, especially now that it seems like a lot of boards of education across this nation are gearing more towards controlling with the information that they provide for their students inside the classroom.
Mhm.
Have you seen that in your jurisdiction? If you can explain that in detail.
I can. So when I was active in my local union in Cumberland, we had lots of interactions with our school board, advocating for the needs of both students and our educators, making sure that educators didn't feel bullied at school by other employees or the administrators, making sure that students got resources that they needed, advocating for student retention in the classroom. One of the things that we advocated for was a revision of student discipline policies that disproportionately affected Black students. And now in my current role, my role is a statewide role. I'm not currently in the classroom. That allows me to do work with different educators all across the state and different students all across the state. And so, what we have seen, of course, since the turn of 2020 is a lot of takeover on our school boards by individuals who are not serving the needs of educators and our students, who want to be more restrictive about the things that we can and cannot teach in our classroom. We've seen
Mhm.
elimination of progress around diversity, equity, and inclusion policies by
Mhm.
school boards. And so, one of the things that is really important, and I tell people, don't wait until something happens to get involved with your local school boards. They set policy and curriculum decisions for the educators and for the students. And many times, educators don't have a say so in how that happens. And so the parent voice, the caregiver voice, and the educator voice is really important in going to school board meetings every month. They're public meetings. Rooms
That's
should
right.
be packed. People should be asking questions of their school board members about what is in the school board budget, what things are being sent to ask to teachers to teach. There are individuals who will go to school board meetings trying to ban books, such as books on Ruby Bridges and Martin Luther King, and
Mhm.
things that are important not only for Black students, Brown students, our Hispanic students to learn, but also for white students to learn too, because
That's
our community is global. You go to the food line, and right next door is a Chinese food shop, right? You
thank
go
you.
you go down the street, and there's a taco truck, and you got your Hispanic families in the neighborhoods, and so try to make school curriculum look one way when our communities don't is a terrible thing for our students and our educators to experience. And so I encourage people all over to be active community citizens and show up at their school board meetings. They usually happen at the same time every month. They're usually like on the second or third, Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday of the month. But I encourage people to go. And a lot of places now in the state of North Carolina specifically are getting ready to have school board elections. And so it is really
Mhm.
important for people to go out and find out who these candidates are, find out what
Mhm.
their platforms are, find out the people that are supporting them, because right now we've also seen a lot of what we call covert candidates,
Hmm.
candidates
Mhm.
who are running on one platform, but they're actually when they get into office, they're doing something totally different and not what people actually
Thank you.
voted for them
Mhm.
for. So school boards are really, really important in the daily operation because those are decisions that directly affect students and educators every single day.
You know, Sister
Mhm.
Tamika, you exactly right. And I want to stay on that for a second. And I understand, Sister Mildred, she focuses on the older students and things of that nature. But I want to get back to you, and that's good too because they need someone
Mhm.
solid that's going to give them tell them the truth, you know, and
Mhm.
bring education back to the level that it's supposed to be. Sister Tamika, you mentioned something about the school board, and I often say that, ladies and gentlemen, you have to pay attention to the school board. You are sending your children to these schools. You need to
That's right.
know and vote accordingly to who's running these schools. And you said
Mhm.
something profound. I mean, something, I mean, just so, I mean, profound that we need to pay attention to this. Sister Tamika, who are we electing? I had an educator, we did a show on this, uh, wow, last year, several shows, and we had a candidate who's running for school board, and she was, I looked at the ticket, the most experienced, the most educated, and most pro children person that was, and she lost the race to big money. I mean, candidates that were backed by big money, and come to find out, the people that they elected to our school board had no knowledge. And I mentioned this to Sister Mildred as well. No knowledge about budgeting, no knowledge about hiring and firing, no knowledge about the curriculum and things of that nature. And I want you to address that, Sister Tamika, on a local level, and how we desperately need to get involved.
Yes, so part of the work that I do is training educators how to, advocate for good policy that supports public schools in our state. And part of that is, researching and interviewing people who are running for school board. I will tell you that there have been a number of organizations who have invested significant amount of money in school board races to take over school boards
Mm-hmm.
and
Sure.
um, to support candidates who they believe will support more conservative, far right leaning values. And so we have seen really substantial donations on local candidates from places like the Heritage Foundation, from
Mhm.
Moms for Liberty. If you haven't heard of those groups, you should. You should research them because many of them are trying to undo policies
Mhm.
in our school districts that support diversity, equity, and inclusion for our students. And you're right, many of them do not know sound governing policies as to how to deal with billion dollar budgets. Many of our school systems are working with million and billion dollar budgets, not understanding protocol. We had a school system just a couple of months ago fire their superintendent, um, and that school board underwent what is considered to be a far right takeover.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so, and they fired, I want to say, I think he was the first Black superintendent they had. But they fired him recently in New Hanover County, where Wilmington is. And so people do need to do their research on these candidates and find out who is funding them, and what exactly are their policies for. Are they for book banning? Are they for
Mhm.
restrictions on teachers? Or do they support policies like universal lunch and breakfast for students? Do they
Mhm.
support mental health resources for students?
Come on.
Because that will make the difference in your child's daily life. We are in the middle
Thank you.
here in North Carolina and across the country. We are in the middle of a severe educator shortage, and it's not because people don't want to teach. It is because our educators do not feel respected or heard, and they have to work under policies that harm them and students. And so it is important that people do their research about who is running for our school boards.
You know, I find the work that you do is
Mhm.
valuable, so valuable, and people don't pay attention. Of course, we look at the national elections, but I tell you what, it starts at the ground roots, and the ground roots is our local government,
Local
our local
elections.
government. That makes so much when it comes to council people like our sister Mildred Council, and these things. It starts at at the grassroots, folks, and the grassroots is right there in your backyard, and we really need to pay attention to it. And Sister Tamika, I think that most parents are extremely protective of their kids, their children rather, and
Mhm.
they will find out, okay, who are you hanging out with, where you going, what are you reading, okay, and this type of things. Then you have other parents that will give their children an iPhone at the age of 6, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous there. Okay, because they have these children are so smart, they can access anything online. And a
Right.
lot of
That's
this
right.
is not healthy. A lot of this is not healthy
That's
for
right.
them. And so the parents have uh, substituted themselves instead of being parents and giving it to the tech and to technology, which has harmed our children. Do you have anything or any remarks that you want to share with us about the harmful effects of technology on our young children?
Well, I will say, as a parent too, I totally understand how ingrained technology has become in our daily lives. Like we are literally walking around with computers in our hands every single day. So it is not weird or strange, right, that our kids are exposed to the technology as well. I will say it is really important for parents to know that this our students right now, they are what we consider digital natives, right? They have grown up around technology. Many of them have experienced an iPad before they could write or read, and they know how to operate phones way way better than we do, and they can slice and dice a video and make it look professionally done on a TikTok app or anything like that. The dangers of social media, though, are that they do make our children more susceptible
Uh
uh,
huh.
to bullying, to negative self-image, and
That's
so
right.
that is why it is really important for parents to really put some boundaries around how children engage with social media and technology these days. We have seen a rise, particularly in young males, who are engaging in social media content that um, really poisons their views of women, and how they interact with women and girls. We have seen girls who have engaged in social media who are susceptible now to eating disorders, body dysmorphia, and both genders, both sexes, in bullying and using social media for cyberbullying. So something might happen on social media, and it spills over into the schools, and so now the teachers are trying to deal with things, and so I really encourage parents to really work with the schools as we try to teach our students and our parents around digital safety. Using the monitoring measures that are built into social media, not letting students use social media until they're 13 at minimum, right?
Hmm.
Later,
Right.
if you can do it, but also really using those parent monitoring apps on that are available to them. I know I use one with my son. um, we use Family Link, which is available free through Google, and I can monitor not only his location but what apps he downloads, how much time he spends on what apps, and though Microsoft has family safety, so I encourage parents to use the tools at their disposal. Because I will be really honest, we are not going to be able to keep kids off of technology. But the
Hmm.
truth is that we, as parents and caregivers, do need to make sure that they're using it and engaging with it responsibly. And so that is our charge, because we know that many of our parents are doing the best they can with what they have, and so we just need to use our resources to educate our parents so that they can do best for their children.
Right. And I'm gonna, before I toss this over to Tiffany, I believe it was last week, was it Robert and Tiffany? We had someone on. They were talking about how I think it was this platform. We have different talk show, different platforms rather, on different talk shows, and they were talking about uh, suicide in our black youth is on the rise, and that broke my heart. It broke my heart, and a lot of this can be attributed to uh, social media. This again, like you said, bullying, uh, and in schools.
Cyberbullying. Yes.
And we'll get back to that too, because I think that the schools can do a better job on curtailing a bullying in the schools. You know, as if you were a teacher or principal, and you know that one child is being bullied, that needs to be nipped in the bud. And because of social media, sometimes we are losing our children. They'll get on, and someone doesn't like them, and they'll put out something that's totally false about them, and the child ends up taking their own lives. Can you address that?
Yeah, so I will say schools do have policies in place around bullying. And I will say, again, like I was saying earlier, if it initiates or starts on social media and then comes into the school, it's a little challenging, right? Because students do have a right to privacy and they have a right to First Amendment rights, which
Mm.
we cannot trump those things. But so that's why we try to educate parents about things to look for when students are engaging in social media. When bullying and things happen in the school, that's why we try to create really strong bullying policies, working with parents and caregivers when they notice signs. And also, many schools have created hotlines for students to call anonymously. Lots of, if you see something, say something lines around school safety so students can anonymously report things. Because as the teacher, as I'm getting to learn my students and learn about them and their lives, I'm gonna do everything in my power in my classroom culture to create a place where everybody feels safe, affirmed, and welcomed. But also having to be really careful about making sure that students also learn cultural and differences, because sometimes students are being bullied for things that are outside of their control. Clothes that they wear, what they look like, their hair, things of that nature. And so teaching our students how to respect one another is really important to curtail bullying. And also really establishing that relationship with the parents so that if their student is a bully, right? Because if their student is a bully, what sort of resources do they need to understand that that's not acceptable, and how to help parents teach their students that's not acceptable? And if a student is being bullied, what measures do I need to put in place so that child feels safe coming to school, and making sure that they continue to have good self-image and self-worth, because bullying can be really damaging to a person's self-esteem.
Absolutely. Tiffany?
Yes, I wanted to kind of go back a little bit and ask, have you spoken with other students or educators about how they feel or what they think about the restrictions that affect DEI and that deals with certain topics not being discussed in the classroom?
Yeah, so I talk to educators every day, and it's literally one of the best parts of my job. And I will tell you that there is a marked difference between educators who are in urban populated areas like a Raleigh, like a Charlotte, versus educators who work in more rural areas like in the mountains or in the eastern part of the state. And it is a challenge. Many educators do feel with the restrictions about, well, you can't teach this and you can't say that, and you can't talk about LGBTQ issues, and you can't talk about race. It's really limiting and frustrating. And we know that a good teacher brings the world to their classroom.
Mm.
And we try to make sure that our students, because some of them never leave their neighborhood, they never leave their city. Some students may never leave our state, but they need the opportunity to
Uh-huh.
experience the world just like everyone else. And so it can be really frustrating that these
Probably
limitations.
appears to be a little bit of technical um,
Oh, oh,
issues right now.
sorry.
But basically, Sister Tamika was talking about how you can't specifically talk about certain things in schools, like LGBTQ. You can't talk about bullying. You can't talk about race. But these topics are here to stay, and it's no way to be able to get around that. So
Yeah,
Okay.
y'all can still hear
yeah.
me or no?
So the
Yeah, I
idea
can hear
is,
you. I can
and
hear
Okay.
you.
especially if these topics are in the communities where people live. So it is important to address these, and also to be, because it's part of society. Whether people have opinions about it or not, this is what we are living in these days and times. So the idea is we want to be able to be educated about all of these things. So
Right, 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 right. And and get back to you, Tamika, and then we can go back to Tiffany if so, and then Sister Mills, you can jump in and comment on anything that Sister Tamika said here. Um, and you mentioned something that I thought was so profound, and that is teachers bring the world to the classroom, and each of one of us have experienced that when education, the teachers felt free to teach, and now there are so many restrictions that are put on teachers, like banning books. There's certain things you can't talk about. I mean, it's just absolutely, it's gone nuts. So, Sister Tamika, when you talk about bringing the world to the classroom, I remember those experiences in school, and teachers did and absolutely had the freedom to bring the world to the classroom, and now they don't. Expound on that a little bit, then we'll go back to Tiffany. And then, and also, Sister Mildred.
Yeah, so I will tell you that part of
Sure.
our teaching is to ensure that students get a wide variety of experiences and lessons. And if you restrict what they can and cannot learn, then our students don't get an opportunity to be in community with each other. They don't get the opportunity to learn about their fellow students' culture. They don't get the opportunity to learn about their fellow students' families. And that does a disservice to our students when we say we want to be globally competitive and we want
Sure.
to attract the best and the brightest and we want to be number one in the country for business. And yet, you don't want them to learn about historical figures. You don't want them to learn accurate history. You don't want them to learn about different ways that people operate in the world. It does them a disservice. In my music classroom, we often, did a lot of singing of songs, and they come from different cultures. But songs tell stories. They don't exist by themselves. So a song was written in this time period, and it reflects what was happening in the world at the time. And students need to know that. Um, I used to
Sure.
teach This Land Is Your Land
Hmm.
by Woody Guthrie, and everybody knows that song. And most people sing it as a celebratory song. And I taught my fifth graders a little bit of the history of the song, that the song was written in protest. It's a protest song about how there were restrictions on parts of the United States where people were not allowed to go. And giving being able to give that context to the students allows them to understand, like, what other songs do you know that might be written as protest music? What other forms of protest do you know? And then we talked about Colin Kaepernick and kneeling at during the NFL games, and it just helps them be more aware of the world around them and what is happening, and that helps them be better people to each other.
Absolutely,
Sure.
and the importance of teaching and
You want to say
and
something?
educating and opening the world up, Sister Tiffany. And then I want to go to Mildred. And you look at people have turned DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, into something else. And when you have certain nefarious people, they would take things like DEI, affirmative action, CRT, and turn those into something that's negative when the opposite is true. Okay, and let's talk about DEI and what it really means. If it wasn't for you take, sisters, there are many black women who made significant contributions to technology. Valerie Thomas invented the illusion of transmission, which changed how people consume content. Marie Van Britton Brown invented the home security system, which we have. The system has evolved, but also brought that up, including cameras, peepholes, and a two-way microphone. Katherine Johnson, a mathematician, I'm sorry, who worked with NASA, Come on. In the 60s, her calibrations helped guide space flights and enable astronaut John Glenn to orbit the Earth. Lisa, is it Galloper? Uh, Geloper? Gelobter. How do you pronounce that? Is that correct? Computer scientists who developed a code for shockwave, active X emanation software, which made it possible to create the GIF file format and publish video. How about Marion Cook, an engineer with over 200 patents who invented improvements for one online voice and data systems, which paved the way for video conferencing? Come on now, you tell me that DEI doesn't work? Are you telling me that the very things that we are using
True.
right now, I'm just serious right now. So what I am really upset about is how these people, nefarious people, have turned this into something negative when it's been all but. Now it's proven that businesses who have a DEI, workable DEI program, are 38% more profitable than those who do
True.
not. Okay,
It's true.
Tiffany, I'm gonna get off right now. I'm getting excited. You know how I do. All right, Sister Tiffany, and then let's go to Sister Mildred, and then we're gonna go back to our sister Tamika. Let's do this.
Okay. Let me quick question. Do you believe that by the schools not teaching on certain subjects, do you believe that that will divide the students even more, or do you think that the students will speak up? Because again, as we have already stated, these younger generations have way more access to technology and the internet anyway. And so they're going to more than likely, if they don't have it readily accessible, they're going to sneak around. You know what I mean? And so, but with certain subjects not being taught in school, do you see that as a form of division amongst the students, or do you think that this type of generation won't stand for that they'll actually speak up?
Well, I know that this generation is speaking up around issues and the restrictions that are placed upon them. So I've been physically in person with many students who have spoken at school board meetings against book bans. Many students, I traveled to Greensboro last year, and students spoke in support of their teacher who was teaching the book to them, and they talked about how it was important for them to be able to read that book so that they understood somebody else's world and perspective. So this generation of students, they are speaking up about what is happening. They are, students as my elementary babies are going to school board meetings and talking about how important it is that they learn about Martin Luther King, that they learn about Ruby Bridges in their schools, and why it's important that they have what we call mirrors and windows, so they have books that have characters and stories and tell narratives about their own history, but also about other people's histories as well. So the kids are all right. They are doing good work. I know people are like, well, these kids today, but they are actually really passionate about the world that they have inherited from us, and so they want to be able to learn about other cultures, to learn about each other, to read the books that are going to help teach them new things. And so many of them are fighting alongside their teachers in order to be able to teach truth and teach honest and accurate history and subjects.
Absolutely. A Sister Mildred, what questions or comments do you have for Sister Tamika?
Well, I concur with what's been stated and everything. And I just think that parents need to step it up and be more engaged in that. And our community organizations can do some work to help, because when I started collecting African American history books, my 42-year-old son was in my womb, because I knew that at that time very little Black history books was out there. Remember, I was traveling with the school boys. So when I was get off the plane and get into the town or the city, I was like, "Where's the black bookstore? I need to. I'm collecting black books so my boys can be able to learn about the rich history and everything." So I think parents need to have a stronger role. Our churches, our organizations, it should be a conversation in the beauty shops, the barber shops, all those places that we're just not going to allow. Because when I heard about the book ban, well, I probably have over about five or 600 books that I have collected, black books written by black authors, because I think that's important for children that was in my home, and then I share them with kids in my community. I show up and do exhibits in the community doing not just Black History Month, but all year long. And then I work with 4-Hers, and I have kids from age 9 through 18 that I work with. And so all of that. And so in my 4-H meetings, for instance, we do cultural work. You know, we do Black history. We did a Juneteenth of 2 years in a row, and my kids was on TV discussing the importance of that. I took them to the slave plantation down in Cresswell, North Carolina, where the first group of slaves supposedly came in off those Virginia shores and landed in down there at Cresswell, and was the largest slave plantation in the country. I mean, in the state of North Carolina at the time. And so I try to mix it up so they can really understand as a 4-H leader. I do that in my club. And what the other clubs do, I don't know, but I know in my club, which is predominantly Black and brown kids, we tell it like it is and we educate. And I think we must do even more now. And then I'm telling parents, stop buying all the foolish stuff for the children, buy some books. You have your own collection of black books, because you used to say go to the library and check them out if you don't have money. But I'm saying invest in some books so you have some in your home that's written by black authors. So that's what I have done through the years. And that has helped me, and I give them as gifts and all of that. So there's all kinds of ways that we can uh, crush some of the nonsense that's going on about banning our books.
Right. And you know, you're so right about that. And Sister Tamika, you know, I tell you what, it was after I got out of college. You know, I did learn some Black history while I was in school, whether it was high school, not so much in middle school, but maybe a little bit, but basically in high school and college. But after I got out, that's really when I opened up my mind to learn more about our history. I want you to talk about a little bit more the important. Now, you did a great job on talking about how it is important for us to do this. I want you to expand a little bit more, because you said something about it is not only beneficial to our children, but it's beneficial to all cultures. Would you kind of expound on that? Why would it be beneficial to a Chinese or a Jap or whatever Russian, other than Black and including Black students? Why is our history, which is American history, so important to other cultures?
Well, I mean, you just said it. Black history is American history. It they coexist together. And so the contributions that Black people have made to the creation and the maintenance of American society is really important for everyone to learn. There wouldn't be a Washington, D.C. without Benjamin Banneker. There wouldn't be a NASA program without the Hidden Figure ladies. And so
Mhm.
it is there wouldn't be hair care like products for everyone to enjoy if it wasn't for Madam Susan Wilson.
That's right. The
So
first, the
yeah,
first woman, was she the first woman millionaire or just the
uh,
first Black millionaire?
I think she was the first Black billionaire.
Yeah,
Um, and and so those things are really important because the things that we utilize in American society every day um, have have roots in Black people. From and we do highlight these things during Black History Month, but Black history is all year round. And so, the cell phone to the traffic light, we talk about all of those are Black
that's
inventions.
correct.
but also we have, you know, history makers today. I mean, we're in the middle of the Olympics, right? And we've watched Simone Biles make Olympic history.
Right.
She's the most decorated gymnast of all time, right? And so that is history that our students are looking to now, and she's inspiring current generations of students and future generations of students to like think about gymnastics, and for black students, right, and black young black people to think about gymnastics in a way that, you know, we see black boys and black girls do tumbling all the time in our neighborhoods, right? We should put them in a gymnastics program, right? Because they could be our next world champions. And so and for our white students, it helps give context to the world. It helps expose them to different cultures, and they learn about
Mhm.
things every time they come in the community. And so to deprive them of parts of American culture um, is detrimental to all of our students. And I like to say, when I talk to my kids, we talk about like diversity is like a salad. Everybody retains their own individual shape, but we're all in the bowl together. And making sure that, you know, everybody gets what they need, and that's equity. So if I give everybody here on this panel the same pair of shoes, that's equality because we all got the same pair of shoes. Uh,
Right.
but but equity is giving you the pair of shoes that you need. So for me, I need a pair of Converses. Tiffany might need some Jordans. You know,
Chuck Taylors.
you might need some Air Force Ones. Sister Mildred might need a pair of stilettos, and then, you know, Robert, you might need some PF flyers. You know, giving everybody what they need, and
That's nice
so
for the Nikes, right?
and so, you know, all of our students benefit from that when we teach them all of the different parts that make up our world and our communities. Because once they leave the school, they don't just go to their homes and stay there. They interact with people every day. And so they need to know who these people are and what they contribute to society.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one thing, and then I want to go to Brother Robert. I'm of the persuasion that, or belief that, uh, when we teach diversity or we include diversity and we educate all of our students, no matter what ethnic background it is, I think that's a form of bringing us all together.
It
I
is.
believe that is because right now we have been, as a society, more separated than any time in our history. And just like the governor in Florida said, well, we're not going to teach critical race theory because we don't make white folks feel bad. I mean, that is one of the most ridiculous statements I ever heard. Yes, he said it. So, I mean, so that is, we don't want white people to feel bad. And that's the reason why you're banning books. That's the reason why you're trying to outlaw CRT. Okay. And they make up these lies about CRT being taught in elementary schools, which is absolutely not true. Can you confirm what I'm saying is fact? It is
Yeah.
not taught in elementary schools.
So, CRT, also known as critical race theory, is advanced law theory.
Come on.
So it is not taught in any K through 12 setting. And what we do strive for is what we call culturally responsive pedagogy and teaching, meaning that we should be teaching curriculum and lessons in a way that reflect the students that are sitting in front of us. So that means bringing their cultures into the classroom so that we can learn about them and so that they can learn from each other.
Okay. Do you think that critical race theory is a way of division, or do you think that is a way to really unify the country so we can understand each other's cultures and understand the history? Do you think that is like someone on the right would say that it's divisive? And I beg to differ with that. What do you say about that, Tamika?
Now, I could talk about this for a whole nother show, but I will tell you that, like I said, critical race theory is a law theory, right?
Right.
And it talks about the ways that systems and institutions are set up to perpetuate the already existing divisions of race. As you know, race is a social construct, is not real. And so many of the laws of institutions and systems, policies and practices that are race based have been used to divide our country. So, learning about how those things have intersected and have impacted us as people is really important. And the ways that race has shown up in our economic systems, in our education systems, in the way that people gain access to housing or not, those things are really important for us to learn and deconstruct so that we can actually create a society where everybody feels welcomed and appreciated. And so people don't like to talk about that because it makes them uncomfortable.
Right.
Um, and they don't like to talk about it because then people have to take ownership for either constructing those systems or upholding those systems. And sometimes we as black people and other people of color, we are also participants in upholding systems of oppression, and we also have to take looks at ourselves of how we can deconstruct those things in our own communities as well. And so yeah, it calls people to the carpet. It calls people to be uncomfortable. But the only way that you learn how to change and be better is if you get uncomfortable, because that way, once you know better, you do better. And if you don't want to know, then you can't do better.
I couldn't agree with you more, my sister. I can't believe we're almost out of time. I'm gonna go to Robert and then Tiffany, and then I want to come back to you and Sister Mildred. I want you to come back and tell us if you have any contact information so people get more information from you. I want you to address that with you and both our sister Mildred. So, Robert, any final words?
Yes, I would say what's learning in schools is not a form of indoctrination. It is a form of making sure that you're informed about all of our various different cultures. You're informed about what's going on in the real world and not just whatever people are thinking about through their own biases. The information that's available is available for everybody. And it shouldn't come across as people trying to cut off or limit the information that's available to you. When you limit that information, you limit the mind.
Right, right, absolutely. And you can follow Sister Tamika. Is that on IG, Instagram at TW Kelly underscore EDU? Is that correct, Sister?
And that is correct. That is my IG. You can follow me there. I have the same handle on Twitter, even though it's called X. I'm gonna call it Twitter because that's what his mama named it. And so it's the same handle on Twitter as well.
Absolutely. And now, Sister Mildred, do you have any contact information you'd like to provide for anybody who wants to contact you, get more information
Well,
from you? Do you have any contact information that
well,
you
I
like to
just have an email address, councilwomancouncil at gmail.com.
Okay, repeat that, please.
Councilwomancouncil at gmail.com. You're welcome to send an email.
Okay,
Council, my last name, woman, WMAN, council again, at gmail.com.
outstanding, outstanding.
Councilwoman council at gmail.
Okay. All right, Tiffany, you have 1 minute. Any final thought?
No, I just would like to say thank you to both Tamika and our Miss Council for coming on tonight. Like it has been another great episode. I'm looking forward to having more conversations in the near future about what we have talked about so far on tonight. And so I want to say thank you and hola.
Right. And Sister Tamika, while thoroughly enjoyed you, along with my dear sister Mildred Council, uh, Mildred's coming back. So Tamika, we would love for you to come back.
I'll be glad to come back. I trust me. There is no
Yes.
shortage of things I can talk about.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been
And
another
all of you are
episode.
excellent.
What did you say, Sister Mildred?
I said, this
Sister,
has been an excellent conversation tonight. And we just
what,
tell the world out there that we love the world. We are the world. And so
oh boy,
we similar concerns, and
right,
I
right,
think
right.
coming together is what we should be about. And my 4-H youth group that is 26 years old, motto is um, creating global leaders. And guess what? We got some super wonderful kids that have come before our club. And
Absolutely.
they just continue to come, and I'm just so excited. I have like 9 kids coming in my club. When we have our next week, we're taking a break right now. We have worked so hard and everything, and our biggest project this year was adopting those 68 orphan girls in Luanda, Angola, and we supplied them lots of things they needed with the community helping us. And so
Wow,
we are
wow, wow.
teaching how to be global thinkers and global young leaders.